way that we describe a term sheet is it's the skeleton of the whole investment transaction. So it's the document that you negotiate as much as possible. If you don't yet have a shareholders agreement, for example, you will put the bare bones of what that document will have. And you try and get all of the negotiation out of the way in the term sheet so that the rest of the investment process is hopefully nice and quick and easy, because that's obviously the point of getting the cash in the bank as quickly as you can so you can get back to work. So yeah, the term sheet should outline start to finish how the investment cycle is going to work. I mean, if they're fortunate enough as an early stage founder to get a VC on board straight away, I think they're going to want to look out for particularly terms around the type of share and then the rights associated with those shares. They seem to be the two biggest sticking points, but normally you'll see, it follows a pretty linear narrative. So, details about the company, details about the type of raise, the valuation, for example, the share price or number of shares or percentage, the class of those shares. And then it will just progress naturally through to what a close looks like. So timeline, and then a bit of general terminology around what will be in a subscription agreement, which is a transactional document between the term sheet and closing the round. And then lastly, points on what they expect to see in the shareholders agreement, or they will provide you with their shareholders agreement and expect you to either negotiate the terms or just sign it on face value. It's funny, it varies greatly. So I've seen angel groups with more restrictive and more challenging, and to an extent, sometimes less commercial term sheets than I have seen from VCs. And I think that's probably because by the time you're talking to a VC, you've already got some runs on the board, you've proven your model, you've got revenue, or you're growing rapidly in a market where you're not yet triggering your revenue component of the business. So I think they have accepted that you're a good founder already. And so their belief is they probably want to give you capital and have less fetters on your ability to then grow the business. So they might have less control over how you operate, how you govern, the types of decisions you make at a board level. Whereas sometimes angels are coming in earlier, so they've got a higher risk profile that they're trying to protect their investment from. So they will typically put more restrictive terms around the founders, around vesting their equity and preventing them from making certain decisions without the angel groups or whatever their investing representative entity is being able to veto or prevent you from passing those decisions without their input and their approval. Depends on the business, and it depends on how well it's doing. So if the business is doing exceptionally well and doesn't necessarily need the capital, if they're not desperate for the funds and it's more around, this money is going to help us move into a new market or make some really strategic hires, then they might have more negotiating power, because ultimately they can turn around and say, well, thank you, but no thank you. We really appreciate your time and your interest, but we're not going to take this deal because the terms aren't great for us. Whereas an early stage founder who desperately needs the capital to get into market, to build product, to hire, initial developers or whatever it might be, obviously their negotiating power is going to be far less. I guess they're going to have less weight to throw around, unless, of course, they're experienced founders who have exited before and this is not their first rodeo. I think if it's your first business and you're looking for capital to actually roll out product, sadly, your power is diminished. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't, be well researched and understand the terms and come back with, knowledgeable, experience-based questions around why are you wanting us to accept these terms and are they in everyone's best interest. So power to you to ask and to push for it. If you're asking for reasonable things, I think that you should encourage founders to be proactive and assertive. But I think you've got to manage your expectations as an early stage founder as to what they're actually going to allow you to change.